Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Paranormal, the New Normal. I'm your host, as always, Jeremy, here trying to make the world seem a little more normal. Does it ever happen? 4 years in, we should know the answer to this already, but no, it doesn't happen. But, well, today's episode's actually going to kind of touch on that a little bit. So, there you go, folks. I brought it back around full circle. I am being joined by Lalo Montoya, host of the R.E.A.L.M.S Commune podcast, and a therapist who is currently looking into the paranormal. Lalo reached out to me, basically telling me about the great work he's doing with the paranormal and his therapy work. And just say it's a topic I couldn't get away from. I need to freaking hear more of what he had to say. I need to learn more about what he's about. Welcome, Lalo. How you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. And I think like you said, I don't know if we'll ever reach the new normal. And there's a lot of I think intersection that I think I've found, and I think like everyone, we're just kind of looking to try to make a little bit more sense of this realm of existence, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Let me ask you the first question I ask everybody on this show. What made you get into the paranormal? What brought you down that road?
Um, I guess essentially it's just an ongoing existential crisis, trying to figure out what's going on with life, what life is about. And through that, you start connecting with spirituality, you start connecting in just different areas, thinking about different religions, and just trying to see what, like, why does things happen why they happen? What happens after we die? Was there something that happened before we were born? All that kind of stuff.
That unlimited thirst for knowledge. Yes, I have been down that road for many years, and you get answers, but they're all different. That's the problem. You get answers, but everybody will tell you a different answer. Um, so did you ever have any paranormal experiences to kind of like spark your interest in it?
Um, I'm trying to think of like exactly. I mean, there's been a lot of just like really weird stuff that's happened. Had a couple of near death experiences where
Ooh,
it definitely felt like a, I don't know, like you get like that feeling like somebody was kind of like watching over you or something like that. I once was like in a car crash, and like the entire car was like totaled, completely smashed. Even the like police officer that pulled me out is like, wait, you were in that car? Like almost without a scratch. Um,
yeah,
so
kind of like the
yeah,
guardian angel, kind of like a guardian angel aspect of it.
yeah. Um, so there's been there's been a lot of things like that. Now, one of the things I think particularly got me interested in a lot of this was probably just kind of love for paranormal movies as well. You know, um, obviously,
See,
The
no,
Exorcist was
oh,
one of the first picks.
don't get me started on The Exorcist and how horrible a movie that is. Um,
Yeah.
that ranks right there with Princess Bride in my book, which is horrible. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. I didn't get into paranormal horror movies until after I started this podcast.
That's interesting.
I I
Um,
horror movies never drew me in when I was a kid, really. Besides like some classics, but besides that, like nothing really drew me in.
yeah, not particularly like more of those that are almost like just like thrillers, or that have kind of more of a story behind it rather than just like the effects.
Yeah,
Um,
I not so you're not a fan of slashers. You're more of the supernatural thriller like
yeah,
genre. Yeah,
yeah.
Sixth Sense and all that. Yeah.
Particularly like just a lot of things related to like demons, possession, and all that stuff. I'm sure you're familiar with a Conjuring, right?
I saw the first two. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first one that I'm sure most people have seen. Um, kind of a as to kind of how I kind of saw it is what's kind of interesting is that in order for her to become almost like non-possessed, she had to think of like a happy memory to kind of reground herself.
Yep.
You know, um, and that actually is quite in line with just kind of grounding techniques and a lot of stuff that I, in some ways, try to practice within mental health. And the more that I saw in a lot of these things, particularly people that are either like possessed or are close to it, it seems like most of them have a good bit of trauma.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. There's usually some underlying trauma, and that usually weakens them enough so they can be possessed if you talk to an exorcist. That
yeah,
usually they usually need to have be weakened somehow because I mean, if you're going by what if you're going by the original belief of what possessions are, a demon can't take hold unless he has something to pry on and pry open and get make a hole into your conscious. And
right,
there has to be some kind of abuse or trauma there for him to really pry on and easy access. I mean, you,
yeah.
they're not going to possess someone with a quote unquote perfect life and who it has no problems. Like they're not going to be able to possess someone like that usually unless that person is given them permission to, which is a whole nother realm. But so
So I guess the question here is, well, what if a person like that went to therapy, got the proper kind of treatment, was able to resolve that trauma? Would that also resolve their possession?
I mean, I've talked to a few demon experts, a few exorcists in my time on the show, and from what I've gathered, that's always a major part of the process is trying to reveal the trauma and solve it. Well, may not solve it, but at least soothe it.
Right.
But the problem is, once you're possessed, you don't want to. Once you're possessed, you're in the darkest places imaginable. You're not yourself, and you're not going to want to do anything to help that situation because what's in you doesn't want to leave.
I mean, to an extent, same thing can kind of almost be said with somebody with uh, like um, like severe like complex PTSD. The brain is so wrapped in trying to kind of like save itself and trying to just keep its like person safe that it kind of rejects everything. It almost goes into its own reality.
In a way, in a way, I guess that's true. I mean, I guess it would depend on a case by case basis and how much you can actually work with the individual, or are they just too possessed and they need something more in the supernatural realm? I mean, psychics, Reiki masters, all these people exist for reasons because we need them in this world because they can do things that just normal Western medical procedures won't do per se. I mean,
Right.
we need that Eastern medicine as well.
Oh, I'm not dismissing any of that. I'm just saying, that I think that there's a strong connection, and at the same time, I think a lot of times people that um, are either depressed or just kind of hopeless, a lot of times they don't have a connection or a connection with a lot of times with either like the spiritual world or anything greater beyond than that.
No, they
Yeah,
don't.
so
I mean, you're 100% correct on that because I mean, negativity doesn't feed into the spiritual realm well. Negativity attracts the opposite, the spiritual realm, which is not good things. Shout people and the like. But I mean, it's negativity doesn't bring anything good in this world except more negativity, which you don't want that either. So I mean, it's kind of it's on people to get help before it gets to the issue where it's going to be a possession eventually. Because if they get that dark, it's going to take a lot to come back. It really is usually. I mean, it's years of work that should have been done ahead of time before this happened. But hindsight's always 2020 in these situations.
yeah, yeah. So I just I guess I'm trying to figure out, like where that gap is. Um, like kind of what can stop people from either reaching to trying to get the mental health kind of Western type medicine and stuff like that, or those that are there. reaching out to the community, to a kind of a spiritual connection, to something kind of bigger than themselves.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard because, as the name of the show tells you, paranormal is not normal at this point. 100%. It's getting closer and closer every year. We are, and the social media has helped with that dramatically. But embracing, we're embracing Reiki and tarot and all these things they never would have even thought about touching in the '90s, because it's just becoming a more norm thing. Oh, my friend from high school does this now. Okay, some people we know are doing it, and it's not just some stranger that everybody else in town avoids. So, like it was when I was a kid. So I mean, it's a new world for it. So I think more and more people are embracing the Eastern side for things, because I mean, let's face it, Western medicine, especially in the United States, especially, is not in a good condition, and it hasn't been for years. All they care about is raking in the money. It's very hard, and in between, it's hard to find a doctor that actually cares about you as a patient rather than just collecting that insurance money.
I don't know if
At
to
least,
say that that's fully fair. I get your point. I mean, we can have a discussion for probably hours or days on the subject
yeah,
of that. Um, I don't know if it's so much to say sometimes it's like that they don't care. It's just how much the system allows them to really do what they need to do.
well, I mean, yes, that also plays a huge part into it. I mean, that's the problem with the whole insurance system is so many things require you to get prior approval, and to get that is usually an uphill battle that you're not going to win a lot of the time, because they don't
Yeah,
want to pay for it, and then people are
right.
forced to pay for things out of pocket, and most people don't have money like that,
Yeah,
because the prices are ridiculous because of the insurance making them be higher. When
yeah,
before insurance existed, seeing a doctor was not that expensive. It was pretty anybody could afford it. Now it's just to go see your just to go see your primary. I mean, you gotta pay like 100 something bucks, like if it's not a physical, which is ridiculous.
it is pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. Um, yeah, kind of, like as you're talking about all these other kind of practices that um, don't exist in the in like Western medicine. A good bit of like just I guess what grounding is and helping people recenter, right? Is again, I think that there's a huge correlation between it, and I'm just trying to again kind of draw those lines. For example, like if somebody's just I guess like religious, right? Like
Hmm.
um, a lot of times instead of like suggesting that they do meditation, it's like try praying. It is almost like a 101 equivalent.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. It is a very they're very similar things. I wouldn't say they're exactly the same, but they're very similar.
For extensive purposes of like what you're trying to do, I think that they're very they're very similar. The same with again other kind of rituals and things like that. How we kind of derive meaning from things like just socially. I think it's also very interesting. I like what is that thing called where like people walk or run over hot stones?
Oh, I know it's that. I think it's just called walking on hot stones. Is there an actual name for it? If there is, I'm not positive what it is, but um, I mean, I know they cold dancing. Is that what they call it?
I don't know. Um, but that, for example, most of the time, if like somebody tries to just kind of do it, it pretty much would burn the bottom of your feet.
Fire
Um,
walking. Fire walking. That's what it's called.
or walking, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've also heard that like within part of the ritual, where you have like all these people kind of chanting, and if you can get into that groove and everything, you can do it without your feet getting burned. It's just
Yes, I've heard that. I can't say I want to go run barefoot now and do some fire walking. I'm good on that right now. But I mean, it's the chanting. You're right. I mean, our mind is a very powerful thing, and it has abilities that we haven't unlocked yet. So things like chanting and group meditation and all that, it unlocks parts of the mind that we don't really know how to use yet. And I think it's more of a mental thing that you're protecting your body using your mind while doing the firewalking once you get into that space in your brain that you usually never would use. So I mean, that's why I kind of think it is. I think it's more of a mental game than anything else. Like when it comes to that, and I mean, but just what I just said there to unlock that ability to make sure you have no physical damage to your body using your mind. We haven't unlocked that yet. I mean, I wish we did. That'd be amazing. But
Yeah.
I'd be
But
swimming
I
with
just
sharks
think
then.
just even the fact that that can even exist, I think that's fascinating. Um,
The amount that of things that exist that we don't know we can do is endless and awe-inspiring. Anytime I hear about a new ability someone has that no one else has had it before that I've heard of at least, it always blows me away. It's like, okay, that's another 1%. We got like 60, 75% more of the brain to go now. Let's keep going, figuring out what our brains can. Once we're fully evolved, what will our brains be able to do? Like I don't know. It's if you're a sci-fi fan, I think it's basically at that point is when you go like all those civilizations in sci-fi shows to not needing a body. They,
yeah, I still don't know how to feel about that. Maybe I watch too much Black Mirror, but that kind of future is also a little scary at times. But yeah, no, I think a lot of that stuff is just kind of it's just kind of crazy. I've also done, for example, like just like ghost hunting and things like that. No,
oh,
yeah,
you done some paranormal investigating?
yeah.
Ooh, okay. I'm dying. I gotta ask now. What was the most interesting one you went on?
Um, so probably the one that I probably have enjoyed the most was probably the one of the first, and that was the Charleston jail in South Carolina.
I've heard of it. I've heard of it.
Yeah, good stuff. I also did a plantation in Virginia, um, and it was I think it was like by Thomas Jefferson who owned it at some point or something like that. So I was using my own spirit box, and was kind of interesting is that there was a history of like Haitian slaves and things like that, and through the spirit box, right? We got responses in French.
Mm, makes
No,
makes makes sense. Makes sense.
I mean it does, but at the same time, it's like I have done that in different places across the country. I've used that same one at least 20, 30 times. I have never heard anything in French.
Well, I mean, it would make sense in a plantation in the South, especially you said Louisiana or
It was in Virginia.
Virginia. I mean, I didn't think Haitians went that far north back then, but maybe. I mean, not like they really had control where they were going, but um, yeah, I know it's fucked up, but it's true. Um, yeah, I mean, and Thomas Jefferson's freaking that's a whole nother realm of I can see a lot of residual energy being somewhere Thomas Jefferson was. God, the amount of trauma he inflicted on people on his slaves, like oof, we've all seen those history books, but oh wait, no, they don't tell you that in the history books. But um, yeah, that's my slap at the educational society in America. But so have you actually ever seen any physical apparitions or anything similar?
No, but I have. I think there too as one of the only times I've heard like a disembodied voice.
Ooh,
It was like like I literally heard it and almost like felt a bit of air like right behind me, and the only thing behind me was a wall. So, uh, uh, but I definitely like anything that can't be explained. Yeah,
With
and I think as definitely doing therapy, counseling, and stuff like that, right? I spent so much time just trying to figure out. It's like, all right, how do I explain this? And most of the stuff is so. It's sometimes a little rare and something special to come across whenever there's something that's just like, you know, like I don't know how this happened.
I mean, yeah, uh, the unknown is always something that'll keep you guessing for days. I live in a possessed house, haunted house, whatever you want to call it. So I trust me, it's always an adventure of what they're going to do next or what's going to happen next to someone in the house. And it's I never lived I bought this house, so I never knew what it was like. But it's it ain't going away, and I've been told a lot of different things from people on this show, psychics and what have you. But it's they're there, and things get weird sometimes. Things happen, and you can't explain it. And I even had paranormal investigators come in when I first moved in because I wasn't in this world yet, so I didn't know people like that. So I just called some local paranormal investigators and they'll come in. And I mean, spirit box that we picked up some things in my house. That's for damn sure. Kept saying jungle, which interesting story behind that. But all my listeners know that story already, so I'm not going to go on with it again. But basically, it comes down to a spirit killing chickens. But that's a whole story. Um, yeah, trust me, it's something I never thought I would actually say those words put together, but I do now. But so, in your therapist role, do you specialize in talking to patients with paranormal issues? Like, is that something you advertise or look for?
No, I actually I specialize in trauma.
Well, okay,
Um,
they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand, I guess.
yeah, trauma, depression, anxiety. Really, this whole thing of the exploration into kind of the paranormal with the mental health is kind of new, and in also seeing some of those shows, right? I think it's just kind of interesting too that just kind of how shaken it leaves some people, right?
Yeah,
Like you said, those that have been in like haunted houses, right? And then they move, right? Even once you get like your life back, people are changed, and it's normally again not a conversation that you try to have with other people because they just kind of look at you, right? So some of it is too trying to figure out how to give people that have experienced something that yeah is paranormal their space to feel safe, to be able to share it, to be able to process it. Um, because I think at the end of the day, whether or not there is something, completely real and paranormal within that, um, it's partially irrelevant because if it affects their lives, if it affects the way that you view the world, then it's going to affect you and it's going to change you.
I mean, yeah, it will. I mean, we all are defined by our experiences in life, and paranormal experiences are just a little stranger side of that saying because
Yeah,
it's. I mean, I've been told once someone sees a Bigfoot, they're never the same. Like
yeah,
like or someone who has an experience with extraterrestrial abduction or what have you. You
right.
never. I mean, I've met people who've been abducted. I've talked to them on the show, and it's it's always a interesting thing. It's
How
always
often?
there's special. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, how often would you say that they get like dismissed?
Uh I mean, by general society, I would
Yeah,
say a lot. By professionals, I'd say even more, honestly. Um, they'll laughed at. I mean, these are the type of people that get laughed out of like a therapist's office, psychologist's office. I mean, I know you wouldn't, but there's a lot of them out there that will because they don't believe in this type of stuff and they just want to go by the book.
right. But I mean, and so that's I guess like where I have kind of the issue, right? And I think too context and everything matters. I think I shared. I don't remember who I was talking with, but I remember kind of the first uh, abnormal psychology book that I read or looked at in college, and it talked. One of the first things it said was like, you see a person on the street talking to a man in the sky, right? Is that psychosis? Is that schizophrenia, right? Is that some mental health kind of disease? It's like, well, if they're talking to themselves, right? They're rambling on. Um, and it's like, well, what if you kind of found out that they were praying, right?
Yep.
Are they still viewed as like kind of crazy or whatever? So the way that we put context into everything matters. No.
Oh, 100%. It does. I mean, because what's the difference between people want to shake their heads at someone who, oh, he meditates. Okay, you pray to a supposed big bearded white guy in the sky. You want to talk to me about who's a little more sane here? Like it's, and not to put religions down. Organized religion, yes, I put that down every day of my life. But to put religiousness in general down, no. People can be as religious as they want to be. I support it, but to a degree. But it's the paranormal is just basically, in a way, a religion. It really is because you're looking for answers. People look for answers from God. People look for answers in the paranormal. They look for is God really a big white bearded guy, or is it extraterrestrials? Were we created by Arcturians and Palladians and all these other species that we supposedly? I've been told multiple times we were created by these species. So, it's kind of a like you question our creation, you question everything we're supposed to live by because we were all brought up religious in our day and age. We were all brought up in churches, most of us at least, because that's the way it was back then. Nowadays, not so much. My kids have never seen the inside of a church. I don't think, but uh, which I'm fine with that because I'm not a religious person. I don't go to church. I don't think you need to go to a church to talk to God. I don't think you need to talk to whoever you believe in. I don't think you need to go to church or any building to do that. To me, it's you can pray wherever you are, and if something hears you, something hears you. I don't know if they do or not. I can't answer that. I'm not all knowing, but there you can do you can practice what you need to practice wherever you need to. That's the thing people don't get. Like look at everything religions not to get into to this political world, but look at everything religions have caused over the last 2,000 years. Look at all the wars, look at all the terrorism, look at everything that religion has caused over the last 2,000 years, and tell me it's still a good idea to be following organized religion like that. Not that
Well,
every organized not that every organized religion does this all the time. Just there's plenty of examples of everyone doing it at some point, though.
right. Well, as someone who does follow some organized religion, I would say that a lot of those misdealing is more of people and
Well,
men and the whole thing of having free will. Um, I think in the more that I've looked at it, the more that I've kind of like learn and understand. I mean, I think my view of what and how God works has drastically changed as it being a single celestial like white bearded man in the sky. You know, I think it's more of an energy, and um, I think in all the time that I've spent trying to figure out um, what this is all about, I think the closest that I've gotten an answer to is that basically it's like if we're beasts trying to learn calculus. You know, the answer is just way out of our level of understanding.
exactly. It's just that's true. It's true. It's ants trying to learn to learn to understand what humans are saying. Like it's just not going to happen. It's
Yeah,
different world views of of different creatures, and I like what you said about that though. That whole energy in the sky thing. I always use Futurama for an example for that because that episode where Bender talks to God, like to me that is one of the truest. That might be the truest adaptation of what actually may exist in the world that I've
yeah,
seen. Is if there is some infinite celestial being out there who created everything and is beyond intelligent beyond any understanding, it would just be most likely a cluster of molecules, a cluster of stars, what have you. It'd be something not really seen, just there. And
yeah.
but then again, all these old gods that people talk about from the Norse, the Chinese, Japanese, Greeks, Romans, everything. Every civilization had their old gods. What were these old gods then? Were they just all extraterrestrials that were posing as gods, or I mean, that brings up a whole nother question because I mean, if the Norse gods were really just the Norse aliens, which got named because they look so similar,
Mhm.
or I mean, if you look at Egypt and South America, like all their gods were animal shaped. So were they just animal shaped extraterrestrials,
I mean,
bug
I remember
crocodiles?
seeing in one of these history shows something about how during like World War II, whenever we were fighting in the Pacific and everything like that,
Yep.
some of these like islands have basically been like uninhabitable or had been uninhabited by people. So when the U.S. came with their planes and everything, like just flying through it, I mean, they basically were viewed as gods, and I think that that was kind of like the understanding that they were left with, is that these gods came and visited. Um, so, is it possible that people back then kind of experienced something similar? I would say so.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible that I mean, it's to me, it's I mean, I look at like Anubis, the Egyptian, or not Anubis, Sobek, the Egyptian god who looked like a crocodile supposedly. What if that was just a reptilian? What if that was a reptilian that was posing as a god?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's an interesting idea.
I mean,
Um, yeah,
it brings up a whole lot of a lot of other theories that are freaking like really we could spend hours talking about those theories, but
right. What's the one
extraterrestrial
that's
theories.
made the most sense to you?
Um, you mean just theory of the world in general, or
Yeah,
I mean, I 100% believe we were created by extraterrestrials. I've heard so many people confirm it. There's been so much proof of it, and it makes sense along the storyline of humanity. I mean, you look at because the main the
well,
main story the main story I've been told is we were created by the Anunnaki, the Palladians, the Arcturians, and then a few other species as well. And then eventually there was fighting between them fighting against the reptilians and other species that are less good.
yeah,
And basically, eventually, they a lot of them got killed, destroyed, and eventually the Great Flood happens. That happens in every narrative. That happens in every narrative, whether it happens in every narrative, whether it be religion or these histories I'm being told. There's always
right.
a Great Flood, and the belief is that certain species took certain humans underground. They went and lived in the earth when this was happening because they didn't want to die. And the rest of us of humanity at that point, which became this is the portion of it that became us, they decided to stay above ground, and those that survived became the future of humanity as we know it. But they were also not as advanced as the ones who ended up going down into the earth. I mean,
Interesting.
this breeds into hollow Earth theory. This breeds into Antarctica and all these other this breeds into Antarctica and all these other things as well. Like this theory explains a lot. I mean, I keep saying I'm gonna write a book one day with this whole theory like laid out in full and every part detailed, but it's
That'd be interesting. I don't think I've heard too much about it, but yeah, no, maybe I'll have to check it out a little bit more.
there's a lot of people out there there's a lot of people out there that talk about this, and I mean, any alien expert can tell you about it usually. But it's I don't know. It's to me it makes a lot of sense because but then who created the aliens? That's the other thing is where they come when they were originally created, where they come from.
Yeah, I don't know. I read this book called "What Dreams May Come."
Oh,
And
yep, classic.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's a the closest that I think I like have liked the idea that has made sense to me. This whole thing that there is a blend of religions. There's a blend of like kind of understanding, kind of like in the afterlife, and at the end we just almost like go through these experiences, go through these lives to gain an understanding, and then basically become part of God itself or a collective consciousness that is like supreme.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I, I mean, who knows? I mean, that's the thing to say is like, who we don't know the answer to this, and we never will in our lifetimes, most likely. I mean, unless 2027, when the extraterrestrials supposedly come to Earth, as the government is telling us now. I've been here in 2027 for years in the paranormal community, but now the government's saying 2027 is going to be a big year, and I'm like, wait a minute, what
Really?
now? What now?
Huh.
Oh, you haven't heard about this? Uh,
Okay, so
I
I
mean,
will say because I watch a lot of conspiracy videos because I just like hearing everybody's perspective or idea.
yeah, of course.
I'll listen to it all. I've seen a couple of videos of supposed time travelers that say that aliens get revealed in the year 2027, 2028.
It's it's I mean, it's a big thing. It's
Yeah,
a big thing. It's a big thing out there in the world. Is that 2027? I've been hearing about it since I started this podcast back in 2024. So, and
yeah.
now that Trump passed a decree that the government needs to tell us everything it knows about aliens in 2027. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
So, and obviously they're hiding a lot more than we knew. Obviously they're hiding a lot more than we knew. I mean, it's just the way it is. The government hides everything. They know Bigfoot exists. They hide it, but yet they put up signs in national parks of what to do if you run into one.
So
I
would you, in all the people that you've seen, all the people you've interviewed and everything, right? Would you say that people have had these experiences? Would you say that they live happier or less happier lives because of them?
oof oof. I actually like that question. It's I think it goes both ways. I think it depends on the experience and the person. I think it's a twofold. There's a twofold thing. I mean, is the person happy to begin with? Is the person that person who's going to be happy of things when things happen? And then the experience, was it like a traumatic experience, or was it like a eye-opening, eye-lifting experience? I met a woman, Danya Dunbar, who is in a romantic relationship with an extraterrestrial.
Hmm.
Obviously her experience is a good one because
Yeah,
she's in love. So obviously her experience is a good one. I've also I also met a couple. God damn it, uh, David and Beth Shaw. I might mess up their names a little, but um, I lost it. But they he comes from a family that has multi generational alien abductions. So his life was not always happier because of it. He didn't know what was happening to him, and no one in his family talked about it until he started researching it.
yeah.
So, I mean, it depends on the person, depends on the situation, and it's always going to depend on the event. If it was traumatic in any way, shape, or form, if you're living in a haunted house and the spirits torment the hell out of you every day,
Sure.
you're not going to be happier. I mean, but it depends on the experience. I mean, same as anything else in life, it depends on how the experience is. To some, that's like I mean, you could ask the same question like, oh, does going to public schools make people happier? Depends on the experience. I'll 100% tell you that because I know people who loved it. I know people like me freaking couldn't wait to get out.
Well, I think it's more like as an average, I think people tend to have better experiences and tend to meet people of like just kind of diverse backgrounds and going to public schools and not. But I guess my question's more or less kind of also going into like for people that haven't really experienced anything, right? And maybe are just kind of floating around, right?
Yep.
Do you think that introducing them to this world would give them a positive fulfillment. So I feel like primarily most of the people that I've met in just kind of engaged in the paranormal world, most of them didn't seek it out. They just kind of fell onto it because of experiences.
That question I asked everybody at the beginning of the show: how did you come down the road to the paranormal?
Yeah,
The answer is never. Oh, I chose to look into it. No, the answer is always I was born into it. I was forced into it when this happened. I come from a family that's into it. I come from a family that has experiences. I come from a family of people with abilities. Like it's always they always are basically born into it. Like it's like we're fated to have these experiences before we're even on this earth. Like
right.
it's rarely just. I mean, the cryptic experiences. I mean, they're more rare, obviously, but the cryptic experiences are they're more accidental. I mean, you could say to some degree. I mean, there definitely are some out there that are fated to happen, but they're more accidental, and they definitely. I mean, people don't because usually running into a cryptid is just a sighting. It's not like it's a real experience. Even it's just a sighting, and just opens your mind and tells you there's more in this world than you realize.
That's true.
At least to me.
Yeah,
But I mean,
cryptids
it
to me
definitely.
are like the easiest to believe of everything, just because there are so many new discoveries of different species all the time.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we just every year. I mean, mainly with insects and small reptiles or small
Hmm.
amphibians. But I mean, every once in a while we get a new shark species or something along, or a new mammal species, something along those lines. So
Yeah,
it's. I mean, things exist. Things exist that we don't know about. I mean, especially in the oceans, but and in the deepest parts of the jungles, because that's where a lot of the cryptids are. It's in the deepest parts of the jungles that man hasn't fully explored yet.
right.
So, I mean, the gorilla was a freaking cryptid until British explorers actually discovered it was real.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah,
they heard about from the natives, and they treated it as like a boogeyman, a monster, and then it was eventually classified as gorillas, and now we all know them and love them. So, and we all hate people who kill them. So, yeah. But
that too.
what was that one's name? Oh, Harambe. Yeah,
Yeah,
R.I.P. Harambe. But that's going old school. But it's I mean, there's your worldview is always going to be shifted by what happens to you in this life. Paranormal not, and the paranormal just I think it makes it even harder sometimes for people to function in this world because I mean, really, if you think about it, what if all these people who really have schizophrenia or bipolar or any of these diseases, what if they are a lot, or not all of them, obviously, but what if some of them are just hearing voices of extraterrestrials try and talk to them, or spirits try and talk to them? Like, what if there's just more going on in this world than anybody wants to admit, than any doctor wants to admit because they can't explain it, so they're not going to tell their patient that because they can't explain it. So,
actually, funny enough, there's this book called as well, "Demonic Foes," and basically Richard Gallagher, he's used to be a psychiatrist for the Vatican. He talks about his experiences. That's one of the other things that got me really interested into this. I actually heard about him in a TV show, but I was curious of like how do certain mental health care professionals deal with this, because again, I think dismissing it does such a huge disservice. Um, it just yeah, it just hurts a person a lot more than anything. I mean, I'm not saying like necessarily indulge and feed into any potential delusions if that's what it is, right? But I think that there is a way to handle things professionally, and there are a lot of like telltale signs that fit kind of the bill as to whether or not is something kind of easily explained within the realm of like mental health as to whether or not it's something else. I actually, if I ever get a little bit of free time and a little bit more resources, I do want to eventually do like a little masterclass or a little something where I actually explore and try to help people rule out what could potentially be like mental health as opposed to um, completely something or not. Like it just at least to kind of rule out that it is like is not this. So the example pretty much is like if a single person's kind of seeing certain kind of hallucinations or whatnot, right? It is possible that it is more mental health related because there is a lot that happens with just the way that our brain's wired. But if it's a thing where like somebody has a recording, right,
Yep.
of like again a person is like standing there and like saying something that they're just not supposed to be there, that had passed away, doesn't exist, right? There's nothing in mental health books that can explain that, right?
Of course not, and that's the problem. I mean, maybe there's some newer ones that there is some examples of it in. I'm sure because people are opening up more to it now than they ever did. But I mean, I don't know. Every culture in the world has ghost stories. Every culture in the world talks about spirits walking among us. So how could doctors not believe this? That's my question.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think like the problem is that um, so simplicity is a survival skill. The simpler you can kind of keep your life in whatever way, the more control you have. Control means safety. Safety means survival, right?
Yep.
And so what that kind of leads into is everybody trying to turn the world into something that's just black or white, right? You put things into a black or white box, but we live in the gray area.
We do live in a gray area, and I mean and I mean yes, people try to keep things simple as possible for their sanity, which I get that. I try to do the same thing for God's sake in my life. I got kids. You got to keep it simple, otherwise you're gonna go insane. But
Yep.
I mean, we hear things in my house, and like my kids and my wife be freaking out about it. And I'll be like, no, no, it's nothing. Just let it be, let it be, let it be. Like, because I don't. It's not a mystery. I'm trying to dive into at that point. Like,
Right.
I'll if they want to communicate with me, they can communicate with me. But they haven't done that yet. So when they do, then we can talk and find out what they want. But it's, I think the biggest problem is that I mean I don't know. Have you heard of many psychologists or therapists that actually have had experiences with paranormal and like that has affected their practice and like how they view these things?
Um, it's it's difficult to say. In general, right? It doesn't end or it really shouldn't influence their practice. Just because as a standard, right? You should be willing to listen and try to help the person that you're seeing. That's the basis of what we try to do. Um, and I mean, a lot of how it goes with therapy and psychology and all that is trying to make sense of the person's world. And when you have these experiences, a lot of times it's like you can relate, right? It's like the whole thing of losing a loved one, right? Um, or even at the same time having a kid, right?
Yep.
It's so different to talk to somebody sometimes who's never had a kid or that responsibility, and then telling you like how to how easy it is for you or something like that, right?
Oh, trust me. Those those single people out there without kids don't know what it's like. They don't. I get
Yeah,
I got from personal experience. I can tell you they don't. Like, oh, why you taking so much time off? Why you been taking so much time off work, man? What's kids get sick, dude. Get over it. Like, kids get sick, but it's life. I mean, and you said something to that. Oh, actually, I talked to someone a while back who hosts a podcast called Paranormal PTSD Recovery.
hmm yeah,
She actually helps people who are having psychological issues after a paranormal experience.
oh,
So, I mean, that definitely might be a podcast you want to check out. I mean, if you want to learn more
yeah,
about this type of stuff and how it affects people's mental capabilities, but 100% I would recommend that. I
yeah,
mean, I to me, it's. I mean, it's always going to affect you in some way, and it's always going to. Well, is it going to end your world? No, not at all. But it's going to change who you are. It's going to change how you view life, and that's a big thing. That could disrupt a lot of people's normality, as we were saying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
it's one of those like Venn diagrams where like you have the circles and kind of each has their own thing, but trying to find that thing that overlaps. And I think mental health is an important one. I think at the same time, culture is a big thing, right? And that's why I also love just exploring and hearing about other cultures. I think within some cultures, some of them just have kind of like ways of dealing and fighting certain things that we just have no idea about.
oh yeah, I mean, look at the Japanese. They are brought up with all these legends and folklore of how to fight demons. That's not something that's discussed in Western civilization. That's not something that's like talked about around the dinner table like it is in Japan or even China and Taiwan, Vietnam to some degree. Like it's not even discussed here. Like it's over there. It's like a regular thing. Like, oh, this is how you get rid of them. Like over here, it's like no. If you want to know that stuff, you gotta go look it up or go watch a Conjuring movie, I guess. But at the end of the day, it's just I don't know. It's different. It's different cultures, which I get, but it could be exhausting. It really can be. But tell us about your podcast. I'm dying to hear what you do in your podcast.
Yeah, so we're still fairly new, just a couple of handfuls of episodes in, and really kind of what it is we just take a subject. We try to find a story. Generally, somebody submits it to us. So if anybody does have a story, feel free to share it with us at the realms commune at gmail.com. And we kind of explore kind of a so it's like a roundabout table discussion. There's four of us.
Okay.
Um, so I try to provide the kind of psychological perspective. Somebody else has more of an emotional. Somebody does a religious, and somebody does like a historical, right?
Oh,
And so
nice.
we take different subjects. One of them, for example, is like um, haunted houses, right? And we look at some of the lore and some of the culture. What do other civilizations have to say about it? What do other cultures have to say about it, right? And as an example, I guess like the first one we did, which if you do go back and watch that one, be easy because the editing of those first ones are a little rough still finding our way. But sleep paralysis, it's just it's crazy to kind of think that this has been something that people have been experiencing for hundreds of years, all across the world.
Yep.
You know? Um,
Yeah, sleep paralysis, exploding head syndrome, all that type of stuff.
yeah, and each place has a name for it differently. Some people, refer to it as like the old hag. I think a lot of people kind of know things related to it with the Shadow Man and such like that. And there is a whole thing too, even psychologically, where it's called the hypnagogic hallucinations, which is that sweet spot between going into REM sleep and waking up.
Yep.
Um, so so we just explore the different kind of things around it. But I think again, having that cultural perspective and understanding is important because and I think the idea is if we can create kind of that positive psychology, connect that spirituality, that community, and more importantly, just to help people not feel alone. You know, um, and I guess something to kind of move forward, and that's why I was kind of asking that other question. If somebody hasn't experienced anything paranormal, right? Do you think it's a good idea to introduce them to it?
Yeah. I mean, knowledge is never a bad thing in my mind. Knowledge is never a bad thing, and if a lot of people a lot of people you explain it to anyway are not going to believe you, and that's the worst part of it. Is they're not going to believe you. They're going to think you're making up shit. But I mean, I it takes hearing it from the actual mouth of the people who experienced it. Like that really makes you a believer. Is when you hear it
Yeah.
from people's mouths, which
Yeah.
is what podcasts like mine and others are for. So we
Hmm.
try to get people to get out there and tell their stories.
Yeah.
But where can they find your podcast? Where can they find you if they have any if they want to reach out or if they have stories for you?
Yeah. Yeah. So you can watch us on YouTube. I'm on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. I think podcast. I think is what it's called. Um, and if you do have any experiences or anything, feel free to email it to us at the realmscommune@gmail.com. Um, so, like I said, we're not that old yet. We're still kind of finding our way, and part of this too is me getting different ideas into how to kind of engage with other people, how to help them as well, because it's really the biggest thing, and that's why I guess I decided to name it as a part of the commune is that we're trying to build a community into this, um, because the other thing I think too for people that have negative experiences that I've seen makes it just so hard for them to live is loneliness, right? So many people either self isolate or they feel like they have no one that can ever understand them, right? So
Yep.
coming to podcasts like this, hearing other people's stories can at least help them understand that they're not alone in this, and that goes a long way.
And that's a nice that's a mission right there, and that's one I respect. So well done. I hope nothing but the best for you guys, and I hope that you really do help people out. It's a nice. It sounds like you're offering a really amazing service to the world in general. But folks, you all know where you can find me. If you don't by now, just shame, shame. But check the outro; it's all there. And if you've been watching, it's on the bottom of the screen. If you haven't noticed, Jesus. But I will be back tomorrow with another interview, I believe. So it's a 2-for-1 weekend, and be sure to always check out the podcast. Old episodes from like a year and a half are releasing now. Yeah, I'm behind. I'm not. Well, I'm not behind. I just have a lot of backlog. But check it out. And I want to thank Lalo for coming on because it's been a interesting discussion. I've had a fun time with this discussion today, and as I knew I would, but I had a fun time with it. Hope you enjoyed yourself, sir. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, everybody.